I'll talk a little bit more about the drug war because it hasn't been touched on too much. And especially it's pretty important in New York City where the crime rate has been pretty low and going down since the 90s, since actually, like, they've ramped up their police state operations after the crime rate already was going down. And a big part of what they do today, the NYPD specifically, is stop and frisk, which was mentioned. They stop and frisk 600,000 people last year and expect it to be about the same or higher this year. And a big thing that does come out of these arrests, if anything at all, which is part of the drug war, is marijuana offenses. More people are busted for marijuana in New York City than any city in the entire world. The entire world. So, I mean, this is for a drug that you literally can never die from smoking too much weed. I mean, you can die from drinking too much water. You can't die from smoking too much weed. But it's more than half of drug arrests. And in this city, it's 1/7 of all cases within the court system. And so something makes me think that it's not actually about the weed itself. You know, it's, again, part of the ideological justification. I want to talk a little bit about, so a big part of the drug war is, it doesn't just get into our, like, it doesn't go directly from the government into our hands or whatever. There's a middleman, and those people come from our own communities, and it's very sad. It's our mostly brothers who have faced the deindustrialization, the lack of jobs, the lack of education. Those of us who feel like we have no future, we have to understand why people become hustlers, why people go to the black market. Nobody wants to work a dead-end job for their whole lives, right? At least I don't. Well, that's another argument, because I don't think the police do have a dead-end job, because at the end of the day, I mean, they make good careers fucking us up. So, but that's another thing. But so we gotta understand why people go to the black market and hustle. You know, nobody wants to work a dead-end job forever. And it's a big part of fragmenting black and brown and working class communities, because at the end of the day, the hustlers themselves end up being the ones destroying the community. Because, I mean, just bring crack into the ghetto, coke, heroin, all these different drugs. I mean, of course it depends on what drug you're talking about. But, I mean, it's like it's all just turning us against each other. And then they have to arm themselves, not only to protect from the police, but to fight over market shares of the black market with each other. We have to understand also that there's a dual nature to this. Malcolm X, our brother, our hero, he himself was a hustler. He spent a lot of time in jail. And so we got to see that there's actually a transformative aspect. If we can redirect this black market violence, all this rage, all the bullshit, basically, there is something there. There's a powerful force. Instead of turning it against each other, we can actually uplift the communities, transform the people, prepare them for revolutionary struggle, prepare them to get free. And on that note, talk about, well, how are we actually going to stop this, right? Because it's not enough to just talk about the problem itself, although that's a big part of it, right? We got to study it. We actually have to know the system that we're trying to combat and dismantle. How are we going to stop this? First step, study it. Yeah, we have to know, but then what are we going to actually do about it? We need to figure out who are our enemies, who are our friends, understanding the role of the police, understanding the role of the state itself, which organizes, funds, directs the police, right? Because it's not like you just become a police officer, right? It's part of a broader institution that directs it, funds it, organizes it, gives them guns, tells them how to go about their business. So we need to understand that the U.S. imperialist state, man, that threw me off. But the U.S. imperialist state needs the police state to suppress us. We're not just gonna disarm them or stop them by pleading to their conscience. or just asking them or rationalizing it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's rationalized for them. They know actually what they're doing. I mean, it's been happening for a very long time. They know what's happening. They know what they're doing. And so we need to prepare the communities most affected to combat this head on. And that means organizing ourselves politically, building political organizations of all kinds. Revolutionary ones, hopefully, if you're a revolutionary. If you're not so inclined, take up the struggle in some kind of way. It has to be done because, like I said, they're not just going to give their power, they're not just going to roll over. Imperialism is a violent system. We need to understand revolution is war and nothing less. If you look at the last wave of social upheaval, the 60s and 70s in the US, you'll see that every different stripe of person trying to take up struggle against the status quo was met with violence, whether it's Malcolm X or Martin Luther King. They both got shot dead. Members of the Black Panther Party, many of them killed. Young Lord's Party for Puerto Rican independence, same thing, killed. So we need to understand revolution as war. We need to understand that the US state is an enemy of the broad masses of people of the world. And we need to prepare ourselves for revolutionary class struggle.
Yeah.
Yeah, so... One last thing. We mentioned NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act, which Obama just signed in today. And we need to see that the US state, with that, is creating the legal framework to suppress political movements in the near future. They see the social strife coming. The system of capitalism is, well, it's not falling apart by itself, but it's going through crisis, a very serious crisis which is nowhere near its end. And so, with NDAA, the state is preparing itself to suppress us. They're preparing for struggle, so we need to be doing the same. Smash the capitalist state before it smashes us all. All power to the people. Yep.